be prepared, and we need to start with our own homes and then our churches and be ready to help others.
And you will be the first responder. The role of the first responder will be yours.
This is not just about earthquake, fire, flood, wind. It's also about what are those hazards, those possible dangers that you face in and around your house of worship.
It's important that individuals as well as citizens and these churches come together and they're prepared with just practical things. And I think the first 72 hours will be the most crucial.
We've never done this before where all the houses of worship have come together. And so we are very, very excited about that. We are making sure that people have the foundation. And so by the time they walk away today, we want to make sure that everybody, all different levels, faith-based, community-based, government, public, private, that everybody understands what each other's role is.
We reach out to the community when there's a disasters. We are not the first responder, but we are the first responder to lend it out our hands, give it out our shoulder to the family members who are impacted.
And in reality, the fire department or police department is not the first responder. It really is your next door neighbor. It's you. It's the families in each community, in the neighborhoods.
God forbid if there was such a tragedy as that. I not only see churches, but I actually see medical clinics opening their doors. Obviously the hospitals are places that people are going to flock to, but when they can't find care there, they're going to have to look to their local community physician, to their local church to be able to seek some kind of shelter or some kind of healthcare support.
The church, people of faith, have a responsibility to take care of not just themselves, but the community as a whole. That's one of our roles. And this is a real practical way of bringing government together as well as citizens and reminding citizens of our responsibility to enhance and build upon what government will do.
So think about what you can do in your own house of worship, what you're already doing. Don't try to do anything necessarily new. But if you're feeding people, like Deborah said, that can be easily activated in a disaster. But you got to get your training so you know what the requirements are for how to feed, how to inventory, how to store the food. If you're already doing a clothing distribution, think about doing that. If you've got people who are licensed clinicians, get them on the disaster team.
What the faith community brings to the definition of community is something beyond location. They bring caring, love. They bring interest, commitment. That's what community means to the faith community. And so how do you interact with a local community in the faith community? It's the faith community that got our local community prepared, because it was important to them. And what did they do? They sent, right? They might be a center within their community that people go to. The church itself might be a center that people go to. But more importantly, in this case, it was the value of preparedness, of mitigation, the ability to respond appropriately that they sent out into the community to tell other people in the community.
You know the story of Noah, and Noah built the ark. Well, in modern time, today, every house of worship could be considered an ark of safety, because when the disaster strikes, people from the community are going to come to the house of worship. And so we need them to be prepared for that and to understand what their role is before the disaster happens and after the disaster. We know that the first responders are going to go to the next disaster, and it's going to be the houses of worship that are still going to be here to help pick up the community and help them get back on their feet.
Just practical little things like as citizens and as a community and churches, we're going to have to provide things that I think first responders are going to be lacking for large numbers, like blankets or flares or jumper cables or barbecues, food and water, those type of things. So with the churches coming together, working with the first responders in our community, I think it's going to strengthen our community as a whole.
A resilient community will bend, but it won't break. A resilient community has the ability to respond to adversity. A resilient community has the ability to do what it needs to do when it needs to do it. Is that right? That's resiliency.
We can take an entire approach of establishing a safety net across San Bernardino County. That is so important. When we have a disaster, it's going to take all of us to get everything back together and to recover.